Welcome to the Earth Pod presented by TERI, a space where conversations converge on climate, sustainability, and the urgent need for environmental action. I'm your host, Ipshita Mitra, and today's episode takes us to a milestone in TERI's journey, the Silver Jubilee edition of the World Sustainable Development Summit, WSDS 2026. Since its inception in 2001 as the Delhi Sustainable Development Summit, WSDS has evolved into one of the most influential Global South platforms on sustainable development, bringing together world leaders, policymakers, businesses, civil society, academia, and youth to shape ideas that travel far beyond the summit stage. The 2026 edition is anchored in the theme Parivartan, transformations, vision, voices, and values for sustainable development. Now, what does this theme signify, and how is WSDS preparing to chart the next course of action in the global sustainability dialogue? To unpack this journey with us and what lies ahead, we are joined by Dr. Shailly Kedia, Director at TERI and Curator WSDS, who has been closely associated with the evolution, design, and intellectual direction of the summit over the years. A very warm welcome to this episode of the Earth Pod, Dr. Kedia. We are delighted to have you here. At the outset, if you could tell our viewers what the thinking was behind coming up with the theme Parivartan, transformations, vision, voices, and values for sustainable development for the 2026 edition.
Thank you, Ipshita, and thank you for having me here. So the World Sustainable Development Summit, as you know, was instituted in 2001 as Delhi Sustainable Development Summit. At the time when it was instituted in 2001, it was felt that there is a need for strong voices from the Global South on environmental issues, including climate change, sustainable energy, circular economy, sustainable lifestyles, climate justice. And at that time also, one of the issues was that science was evolving and there was a need to create awareness as well as sensitize stakeholders on the urgency to act on climate change, on clean energy, and on circular economy. However, now we are at a stage where everyone recognizes the problem, but what is needed is implementation and solutions that are not incremental but are transformative and are at scale. So with this in mind and bearing in mind the current reality that we are not just talking about issues here, but really how to solve the problems related to climate change and advanced sustainable development at scale, and for which transformative actions are needed. The first global stocktake did also find that the world is, while it has made progress, but it is still quite off track when it comes to the climate goals. We have seen that 1.5 degrees was breached last year, and we have seen quite many extreme events. So the message which we want through this particular umbrella theme to be communicated very clearly is that there is urgency for which transformative action is needed. And hence, this was the inspiration behind the theme. And also for this transformative action, we need a broad vision to guide this transformative action, certain ethical consideration, that's why the values, and voices, so that multi-stakeholders can come together, voice their problems, but also solutions that are grounded in their realities.
Right, and you have so summed it up very well. If you could also talk about the new features or formats that WSDS 2026 will be looking at, especially from the point of view of the stakeholders and other participants.
Yes. So again, continuing from the lens of transformation and solutions-driven approach, I would like to, well, the WSDS, as many of you and many of the viewers who have attended the summit would know, that some of the key features does include leadership dialogues, which are in the form of plenaries or ministerials. And we have more specific focus sessions in the form of thematic tracks. This year, we are very happy that we have collaborated with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to have a very unique feature called the Himalaya Connect, or Him Connect in brief, wherein solutions from the grassroots and technologies developed by grassroots across the states, the Himalayan states in India, will be showcased. And as a matter of fact, mountain ecosystems are very fragile ecosystems when it comes to the global challenge of climate change. So, Him Connect, wherein like we try to internationalize and scale these grassroots solution by ensuring that we do a sort of matchmaking and mentoring of involving industry and these local innovations. That's going to be one of the key features. The second one is we are planning to launch the second phase. TERI is planning to launch the second phase of its flagship initiative, Lighting a Billion Lives. So initially, this initiative started with solar lighting solutions, but now, because we have seen solar technology evolved and it has many livelihood related applications, and so from lighting to livelihoods, under this particular tagline, TERI hopes to launch its flagship initiative, Lighting a Billion Lives, which aims to make changes, at the grassroots.
Right.
The third aspect, I would say, is that we had the first global stock take in the year 2023 in COP28 in Dubai. We are heading towards the second global stock take, which will take place after 5 years, which is in 2028 in COP33. So this year, we will be launching an Act for Earth manifesto, which will be focused on aspects related to this second global stock take when we're talking about the global discourse. The fourth feature, I would say, is we are, over the years we have seen, and when we're talking about transformations, a lot of this upskilling can only happen, of course, through governments, but also through business and industry. So, recognizing that business and industry will play a major role in transformations, this year we also have a CEO forum, which will basically seek to engage with business and industry,
Right.
launch a champions league involving business and industry to see how we can actually move towards the transformations that we need for sustainable development. So yes, I would like to highlight these four features.
And it is very interesting that how, when you were talking about these initiatives that WSDS has catalyzed, and they align with the theme of this year, which is vision, voices, and values. So voices from the grassroots, when you talk about Him Connect, the communities, their voices, diversity, so on and so forth. So coming to the impact part of the WSDS, and how does one measure the impact of a convening of this scale, if you could throw light on that as well.
Yes, I would definitely say this is still an evolving area of work, but typically because the World Sustainable Development Summit aims to mobilize high-level leadership. One of the metrics that we have had in terms of impact is the leadership participation, where over the years, and we are heading in the 25th edition. We've seen participation of 59 heads of state at a cumulative level, both present and serving. Also, 149 ministers, 13 Nobel laureates, and over 2,000 business leaders. So, one is this impact of the kind of leadership that is voicing their issue, coming together. I would also like to highlight that in this particular metrics, it's important because the entire theory of change for WSDS is basically based on this science policy interface coupled with this multi-stakeholder platform that we are providing through the summit. WSDS is not an intergovernmental platform. We are not a platform that is convened by a business association. Essentially, the fact that TERI is a research institution, that is the first point, entry point of impact, that we are able to, in a very informed way, bring together those relevant stakeholders who can bring about transformations. So yes, the type of leadership mobilized is one level of impact that we can measure for a platform like the World Sustainable Development Summit. The second aspect is how well the World Sustainable Development Summit, as a multi-stakeholder initiative, in some segments a track 2 initiatives, in some segments even a track 1.5 initiative, it has bring about is evolution of norms. Right now we talk about net zero being such a fashionable term. We have had at the summit chief ministers come and organize and announce that their state would go net zero, when this wasn't even a buzzword. So in many ways, the evolution of new norms, the summit has played a vital role, whether it is carbon neutrality, or if you want to call it net zero, climate justice, very important from a global south perspective, and also sustainable lifestyles. These have been quite many ideas which are of global significance, which the summit has been able to advance over the years and bring it not from beyond research and academic discussions to the mainstream political discourse at the global level, even at even for global south. So that's the second level of impact that we are talking about. The third level of impact, where I think is the fact that we have engaged with youth. When we see, even when we talk from the people who come and listen and take back these lessons, I would say youth to me is very important. And if I see the summit, and this is a question which as TERI we have to keep on reflecting, the way we've been able to engage with youth, that's absolutely central, and we can do so much more in that space. So I would just just to highlight these three specific areas of
and
impact.
what are the kinds of challenges and opportunities do you foresee for WSDS 2026, given that it will be held at a much grander scale than before the bygone editions? What are those challenges and opportunities simultaneously that you would foresee?
Yes, well, definitely, in terms of the challenges, if we talk about the global scenario, the global messaging, the world is definitely in a state of turmoil, with respect to the peace and security situation.
Right.
With respect to not necessarily the right kind of signals, with actually definitely not the right kind of signals that's coming from a major country like the United States on climate change. Right. So with this we have to counter this. So one of the overarching opportunities, considering this level of challenge, is that the summit should infuse that level of optimism through, of course, the kind of high-level messaging that comes from world leaders who will convene at the summit. But at the second time, that optimism also has to come from the solutions that are present, which we're working in terms of curating the summit in that direction. So yes, the opportunities for WSDS is not just in the upcoming year and just for the Silver Jubilee edition. I think it's an opportunity as to how we define the trajectory of the summit for the next 25 years to follow.
And as you rightly pointed out, that since we are living in an increasingly fragmented global landscape, the need for such dialogues, meaningful conversations, and exchange of ideas is very, very important. So, as part of your closing reflections, what would be that one value that you would like the summit to continue and amplify in the coming years?
Well, firstly, we have to recognize that this is a global challenge and the world has to come together to act on it. And definitely, I think, the collective action is one aspect which, we would like to continue through this summit.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of yet another insightful episode at the Earth Pod. We would like to thank Dr. Shailly Kedia for sharing her reflections on the evolution of the WSDS and what the Silver Jubilee edition means, not just as a moment of celebration, but as a call for deeper and more meaningful and inclusive transformations. The Earth Pod will return with more voices, stories, and insights from various experts and researchers at TERI, covering themes on climate change, sustainability, clean energy, circular economy, and so on. Together, we will discuss the science, the policy, the people, and the planet, and how all of it comes together. If you like today's episode, please share it in your network, follow us, subscribe, and stay tuned, as the Earth needs every conversation that we can spark. Until next time, take care, take action. Thank you.